Hey, Christina.
Hey, Janet.
Hey. So I have another question for you, and that's about you and your own experience. So you yourself have been in ketamine therapy, and I'm really curious to know how it's helped you.
Okay. So it's interesting because it took me a minute to get to it. Like I started learning about it and started kind of researching it, and then actually had a couple of psychedelic naive people say, no, it's actually the words were, it's too big of a hammer for you
Oh,
because
interesting.
I wasn't in bed all day. I'm highly functioning. I'm making my life work, right? So
Mm,
everything on paper looked really good. It was what was happening inside of me
mm,
that didn't feel right. And I just couldn't connect. Really wanted to connect back with myself and I really wanted to connect with my loved ones. And
mm,
I felt that I just couldn't get there. And I remember when I first heard about ketamine, I had like, and also it was mushrooms at the same time. And I remember having this deep, like knowing, it was uh, like a shock going through my body of like, I have to learn more about this. I have to, figure it out. So it took me a minute to get to actually go through the ketamine process. And then I did. And what I noticed from my first ketamine infusion was like for the first time, I had a reduction in the amount of chatter. I felt peaceful.
Chatter, you
I
mean like
felt
in your head chatter?
the internal chatter.
Cool.
I felt like I was beginning to switch from my long list of things that I had to do into wanting to do,
Mm,
from have tos to get tos. And I feel like in our lives, when we can live in a place where our get tos outweigh our have tos for whatever reason, like I feel like that's a more psychologically peaceful place to be. So I
mm,
had my first infusion and I had that, but I I tried to follow the scientific like structure of it, like what they had recommended, which is 2 infusions every week for six
mm,
infusions.
mm,
I did do a little bit more of a spacing out because I felt like that was better for me with like my family responsibilities and my work. And then it was on the second infusion that I had that was actually a much harder experience. The first one was a lower dose. The
mm,
second one was a lot stronger, and it kind of brought up a lot of stuff for me that I was trying to work through, and I was struggling with. And I didn't have a coach. The clinic had just said, "Let the medicine do the work."
oh,
Right. So,
wow. Kind of a leap
and
of
and
faith.
yeah, and the people around me, as loving as they are, they didn't understand this process.
Mm,
So that's one of the reasons why with alchemistic family support or the support, educating the people around us is a really important piece of it.
yeah, because they
Um,
want to help you anyway, right? I mean, in most
what?
cases, somebody who has a family who cares, like
Yeah.
they need to be equipped and informed in order to help you.
Yes. And when they don't know that certain questions kind of maybe hurt a little bit. And it's not their
Yeah.
fault. It's just
Yeah.
a lack of education. That's all. But I'll tell you what got me to where I knew I needed like coaching and I needed help. There's a few things along the line, but I'm going to just share one story. I was walking into a Macy's and I opened the door and I heard this voice and it said, "You opened the door so dumb. Why do you open the door like that? Who does that? Who opens the door like that?" And I stopped in my tracks and I'm looking around. I literally froze and I looked around and I I realized it was me.
Oh my God, there was a voice inside your head, you mean?
It was my inner critic that had been whispering all of those years kind of beating me up, right? It was just a little whisper. The voice got elevated enough for me to identify it and separate from it
Mm,
so that it wasn't me. And I realized it was the voice of some humans in my life from my childhood.
mm.
And I stopped and I said to myself, I know this sounds a little bit odd, but this is what happened. And
No, go on. It's so interesting.
I said to myself, to my voice, this voice that I was now having this conversation with, and I was shocked. And I said, how long have you been there? And it said, your whole life. And I said, well, no wonder. It's all starting to make sense now because if I'm talking to myself like this constantly and consistently over time, it's going to wear me down.
Mhm.
And then I said, well, why do you do this to me? Like, why are you yelling at me? Why are you telling me that I do everything so wrong? And the voice said, well, because I have to protect you. If I don't tell you you do everything wrong, then you're really going to do everything
Okay, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's really intense. I'm getting goosebumps listening to you. Yeah,
wrong.
that's amazing. So, did that voice quiet down after you had that conversation with it?
It didn't quiet down. I knew how to witness it. And then in witnessing it and separating it, I guess in IFS you use the term, I've heard you use the term unblending.
Yeah,
It was almost like that. I started to see it instead of it being me.
yeah.
And so I start to challenge it or have conversations with it or ask it to just like settle down. Like, I've got it. I'm okay. Thank you. I'm okay.
Mm,
And that process has helped me a lot. And it's also helped me um, like know when my nervous system is activated and I
mm,
know that that voice is ramping up. But that is also why I knew when I had that happen, I knew I needed more psychological support. And
mm.
I knew that not because I was hearing voices, I wasn't hearing voices. I mean, I wasn't having a psychosis or anything like that.
Yeah.
This was just the way I was talking to myself. And the
Mm,
volume got amplified enough for me to be able to see it so that I could separate from it. So that's when I knew that psychological support was needed, like the emotional support, like coaching.
hmm.
And that's how that journey started for me. And that also is what started me training. Like that's why knew to I needed to train because I
Hmm.
didn't want anybody else to go through that alone.
You mean training to do
And
this kind of
to
coaching
to
or?
work with psychedelics, yeah.
Mhm.
Training to work with
Yeah,
people who decide to use psychedelics. I don't want people to go through this alone.
yeah, yeah, because people have powerful experiences and they need to make sense of them. They need
Yeah,
time to process them.
yeah.
And it's really, really difficult to, coach yourself or somehow
So
do everything
hard.
yourself. I mean, it's not like going to the gym and training and seeing a difference in your body after a few months, right? We're
Mm,
talking about our inner world
yes.
and
So
our
yeah,
brain and our emotional systems. So, yeah, we do need somebody who's
there's
trained, who knows what they're doing.
there is something that I didn't really know, and I didn't ever. I think therapists are wonderful. They do a good job. So I want to say that. But there's something about moving through these experiences with these medicines and having a very loving in the sense that they're there for you, a non-judgmental person, sit with you, witness you, be able to listen to the things that you need to talk about.
Hmm.
And maybe they're reflecting them back, maybe they're not. And actually, I realized one of my sessions with a coach, it really wasn't what the person was saying back to me as I was talking about certain experiences in my life that had caused me pain. It was simply their attunement to me
Mm,
and watching their micro expressions. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was looking at their micro expressions
mm,
in their expressions of, oh, the like, oh no, that's so terrible or whatever, like mirrored something to me that let me know, shoot, that really shouldn't have happened.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it gave me knowledge that was more than logical, that I'm
Yeah.
really grateful for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that resonance that can bring
Hmm.
the healing.
Yeah,
It's one of the pathways.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love this. Thank you for,
Thank you.
telling your story. And I look forward to hearing more and to talking about other stuff too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
It's my pleasure.